The dusty sunlight filtered through the viewport of the Earth Fleet's flagship, casting long shadows across the command center. Captain Kim stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the stars drift by. 5 years since humanity had ventured beyond their solar system, 5 years of being treated like dangerous animals by the galactic community. "Captain, incoming transmission," called out Lieutenant Gill from his station. "It's strange. Not on any of our regular channels." Kim moved to his side, leaning over to study the flickering display. "Origin? Appears to be from a small colony world just inside Confederation territory, called Helios 9. The signal strengthened, and suddenly a voice filled the command center, strained and breaking with static. "This is Governor Tay of the Melanar colony on Helios 9. We are under attack by Voidborn raiders. Our defenses are failing. Multiple casualties. Please send immediate assistance. I repeat, this is not a drill." The background noise told its own story. Screams, explosions, the unmistakable sound of energy weapons fire. "Are we picking up any Confederation response?" Kim asked. Officer Lee at the communications array shook his head. "They've acknowledged receipt, but..." He paused, his expression darkening. "They're classifying it as pending investigation. No immediate response planned." Kim's jaw tightened. The Astrian Confederation, 12 species, hundreds of worlds, technological marvels that humanity could only dream of, and they were ignoring a direct call for help from their own people. "How far are we from Helios 9? The navigation officer's fingers danced across her console. "At maximum burn, 6 hours. Kim straightened, feeling the eyes of her bridge crew on her. They all knew what crossing into Confederation space could mean. Humanity was barely tolerated by the galactic community, seen as volatile, unpredictable Deathworlders who had emerged from a planet that would kill most alien species within minutes. "Captain?" Her executive officer, Commander Park, stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Earth Command has been clear about avoiding incidents in Confederation territory. This isn't our fight." Kim looked around at her crew. All of them humans. All of them carrying the weight of Earth's reputation on their shoulders. They were explorers, diplomats, representatives of their species. "And yet, tell me something," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "If that signal came from an Earth colony, and no help was coming, what would you want another species to do?" The silence on the bridge was answer enough. "Plot a course for Helios 9, she ordered. "Maximum speed, alert the rest of our fleet to follow, and send a message to the Confederation flagship in this sector. Tell them we're responding to a humanitarian crisis and request their cooperation." The bridge erupted into controlled activity. Kim returned to the viewport, watching as the stars began to shift as their course altered. 6 hours. She hoped they wouldn't be too late. In her quarters, Kim reviewed what little information they had on the Melanars. A peaceful species, physically smaller than humans, with 4 eyes and skin that changed color with their emotions. They had fled persecution in their home system and established a farming colony on Helios 9 just 15 years ago. And the Voidborn, notorious raiders who struck without warning, taking resources, technology, and sometimes people. No one knew much about them, only that they seemed to appear from nowhere and disappeared just as quickly. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter." It was Dr. Jin, the fleet's chief medical officer. "Captain, I've been preparing my team for possible casualties, but I need to know. What's the plan when we arrive?" Kim gestured for him to sit. "We assess the situation. If the attack is ongoing, we offer assistance in repelling the raiders. If it's over..." She paused. "We help with the wounded and rebuilding efforts. And if the Confederation objects to our presence, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it." Dr. Jin nodded slowly. "The crew is talking. They're proud, you know, that we're doing this." Kim allowed herself a small smile. "Humanity's been trying to prove itself to the galactic community for years. Maybe this is how we do it. Not by showing how advanced we are, but by showing who we are." The doctor rose to leave, then hesitated. There's something else you should know. I've been studying Melanar physiology just in case. They evolved on a world with 1/3 Earth's gravity, with minimal environmental hazards. Their bones are more like cartilage, their skin is thin. They're fragile by our standards. And the Voidborn? Unknown. But if they're attacking a Confederation colony, the implication hung in the air. Any species capable of threatening the technologically advanced Confederation would be formidable opponents. We'll be ready, Kim said firmly. After the doctor left, Kim opened her personal storage compartment and removed a small wooden box. Inside was a tarnished silver compass, a family heirloom from centuries ago, when humans explored only their own world. She ran her thumb over its worn surface, remembering her grandfather's words. This pointed our family to new horizons for generations. But the real compass is in here. He had tapped his chest, over his heart. Kim placed the compass on her desk and began drafting battle plans. 4 hours until they reached Helios 9. 4 hours to prepare for whatever awaited them. Outside her viewport, the stars continued their silent watch as 5 human ships, tiny by Confederation standards, outdated by their metrics, raced toward a distress call that everyone else had chosen to ignore. The sky above Helios 9 burned orange and black as the Voidborn ships hammered the colony's failing shields. On the ground, Governor Tay huddled with the last of his security team in what remained of the colony's command center. His skin, normally a peaceful blue, had faded to a sickly gray. Any response from the Confederation? He asked, already knowing the answer. His communications officer shook her head. They've received our signal, they say. They'll send an investigative team within the week. A hollow laugh escaped one of the security officers. We'll be nothing but ashes by then. Another explosion rocked the building, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. The lights flickered, then stabilized. The eastern quadrant shield has fallen, reported the defense coordinator, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. They're landing ground forces. Governor Tay closed his eyes briefly. The Melanar people had sought peace their entire history. They were farmers, artists, scholars, not warriors, not. Their colony on Helios 9 was supposed to be a fresh start, away from the conflicts that had plagued their homeworld. Begin evacuation protocol for the remaining civilian shelters, he ordered. Get as many people to the underground caverns as possible. And then what? Someone asked. Tay had no answer. Above the planet, the Voidborn command ship observed the destruction with cold efficiency. The bridge was dark, illuminated only by control panels and the burning colony below. Commander, Rock paced slowly, his exoskeleton clicking against the metal floor. Status report, he demanded. Colony defenses at 17% and falling, replied his second. Minimal resistance to our ground forces. Resource extraction proceeding on schedule. Rock made a sound of satisfaction. The Melanars were weak, their colony, rich in the rare minerals his fleet required. The Confederation ignored their outlying settlements. Perfect targets. Sir, his sensor operator's voice held a note of confusion. New contacts detected, approaching fast from Sector 7. Confederation response? Rock asked sharply. No, these ships, they don't match any known Confederation designs. The main screen shifted to show 5 vessels approaching at high speed. They were blocky, inelegant compared to the sleek Confederation, ships or the predatory lines of Voidborn craft. Their hulls bore scorch marks and battle scars. Curious, Rock murmured. Open a channel. Let's see who dares interfere with Voidborn business. Aboard the Earth vessel Horizon, Captain Kim watched the tactical display with narrowed eyes. The colony's defenses were nearly gone, and Voidborn ships were already on the ground. They're hailing us, Lieutenant Gill announced. On screen, Kim ordered, straightening her uniform jacket. The image that appeared made several bridge officers flinch. The Voidborn commander resembled an insectoid creature with gleaming black eyes and mandibles that clicked as he spoke. His exoskeleton appeared to be part biological, part mechanical. Unknown vessels. The translation came through clearly. You have entered an active harvest zone. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Kim stepped forward. This is Captain Kim, of the Earth Expeditionary Force. We're responding to a distress call from the colony below. Cease your attack immediately. The Voidborn commander's head tilted. Earth, the Death World. We have heard rumors of your kind. Primitive, violent creatures who survived a planet that should have killed you. His mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. You have no authority here. This is between the Voidborn and the Confederation. You're attacking civilians who called for help, Kim replied. That makes it our business. Your 5 small ships against my fleet? You are either brave or foolish, perhaps both, a common trait among short-lived species. Kim smiled thinly. Maybe, or maybe you don't know as much about us as you think. You have one chance to withdraw. The Voidborn commander's laughter needed no translation. The connection cut. They're repositioning their ships, reported the tactical officer. 3 heavy cruisers breaking off to intercept us. Kim nodded. Battle stations. All hands prepare for combat. Deploy Atlas teams for ground support. Throughout the ship, klaxons sounded. Crew members raced to their positions as armored shutters slid over viewports. In the launch bay, 30 soldiers climbed into powered combat suits, advanced tactical lightweight assault systems. The Atlas suit stood nearly 3 meters tall, transforming their human operators into walking tanks. Commander Park watched from the command post as his team ran final checks. Remember, he called out, the Melanar colonists evolved on a low-gravity world. They're physically fragile compared to us. Secure them gently if you need to move them. The squad leaders acknowledged the order. Park climbed into his own suit, feeling the familiar neural interface connect. The suit's systems came online, flooding his HUD with tactical data. Atlas teams ready for deployment, he reported to the bridge. Kim's voice came through clearly. Good hunting, Commander. Keep those colonists safe. The first Voidborn ships reached firing range. Energy beams lanced out, striking the horizon's shields. Shields holding at 92%, reported the tactical officer. Kim allowed herself a grim smile. The Voidborn clearly expected their weapons to cut through the Earth vessels like paper. They didn't understand what it meant to evolve on a death world, where every technology had to work in the harshest conditions, where redundancy wasn't luxury, but necessity, where survival itself required over-engineering. Return fire, targeting solutions on their lead vessels, and launch the Atlas teams. The Earth ships answered with their own weapons. Not as elegant as Confederation technology, not as advanced as Voidborn arms, but brutally effective. The lead, Voidborn cruiser shuddered as multiple impacts hammered its shields. On the planet's surface, Governor Tay heard a new sound above the chaos, the roar of dropships entering the atmosphere. More invaders, he thought bitterly. But the ships that screamed overhead bore unfamiliar markings. They didn't land among the Voidborn forces, but instead touched down near the colony's failing perimeter. And then he saw them, massive armored figures, leaping from the dropships. They moved with impossible speed and grace despite their size, engaging the Voidborn ground forces with devastating effect. Who are they? Whispered his aide, her color shifting to amazed purple. Tay watched as one of the armored giants smashed through a Voidborn patrol, then gently lifted a trapped Melanar child from rubble. I don't know, he replied, but I think they're here to help. Admiral Park stood rigidly before the massive viewport of the Astrian Confederation flagship Eternal Harmony. His reflection stared back at him, perfectly pressed uniform, decorations, from 3 decades of service, not a hair out of place. Behind him, the ship's bridge hummed with activity, though quieter than usual. Everyone felt the weight of the news. Play it again, he ordered, his voice tight. The communications officer nodded, and once more the message filled the command deck. This is Governor Tay of Helios 9. The colony has been saved by the intervention of human forces. I repeat, Earth. Vessels responded to our distress call. They engaged and repelled the Voidborn raiders. Without their assistance, our colony would have been destroyed. The Confederation... There was a noticeable pause. Never arrived. Admiral Park's jaw clenched. The implications were clear enough. A member world had called for help. The Confederation had ignored them, and now some upstart Deathworlders were playing hero. Status of our diplomatic vessel? He asked. The serene dialogue will be ready to depart within the hour, Admiral. Make it sooner. I want to be in the Helios system by tomorrow. His second-in-command, Officer Choi, approached with a datapad. Sir, I've compiled everything we have on these humans. It's concerning. Park took the pad, scanning through the information. Earth, classified as a Class 12 death world due to its high gravity, extreme climate variations, dangerous wildlife, and natural disasters. Its inhabitants had evolved to survive conditions that would kill most sentient species in the galaxy. Humanity was new to interstellar travel, having achieved faster-than-light capability only 5 years ago. Their technology is primitive, Park muttered almost to himself. How did they defeat a void-born raiding party? The reports suggest their ships are heavily armored and redundantly designed, and their ground forces. Park looked up sharply. What about them? They use powered exoskeletons that enhance their already considerable physical abilities. A single human soldier in their Atlas armor reportedly eliminated an entire squad of void-born warriors. The Admiral handed back the pad. Barbarians. With clubs, he said dismissively. Brute force is nothing to admire. With respect, sir, those barbarians did what our forces failed to do. They protected a Confederation colony. Park turned away, looking back at the stars. That's enough, Officer Choi. Prepare my shuttle. As the serene dialogue dropped out of hyperspace near Helios 9, Admiral Park was struck by the scene that greeted them. The colony still showed clear signs of battle, damaged buildings, scorched fields, but everywhere he looked, reconstruction was underway. And working alongside the blue-skinned Melaners were the unmistakable forms of humans. The landing pad had been hastily cleared for their arrival. A small reception committee waited, Governor Tay, flanked by his officials, and beside them, a human woman in a dark uniform with silver insignia. Welcome to Helios 9, Admiral, Governor Tay said as Park descended the ramp. The traditional greeting felt strained. May I present Captain Kim of the Earth Expeditionary Force. The human was shorter than Park had expected. Her hair was pulled back tightly, and her face bore a small scar above one eye. She extended her hand in what he recognized as a human greeting gesture. Admiral Park, we weren't expecting Confederation representatives so soon. He ignored her hand. I'm here to assess the situation and establish why unauthorized military forces have entered Confederation space. If the human was offended by his coldness, she didn't show it. Her hand dropped casually to her side. We responded to a distress call, she said simply. Standard protocol for any Earth vessel. You violated sovereign territory. We saved lives. Governor, Tay cleared his throat. Perhaps we could continue this discussion inside? The building is temporary, but it's more comfortable than standing in the sun. The makeshift meeting room had clearly been assembled quickly. Mismatched furniture, cables running along the floor, patches where the walls had been repaired. Through the windows, Park could see humans in bulky mechanical suits lifting beams. That would have required heavy equipment for Melaner workers. We've prepared a full report, Governor Tay began, sliding a data crystal across the table. The Voidborn attacked 3 days ago with a fleet of 7 ships. They overwhelmed our defenses within hours. And your distress call was logged and acknowledged, Park replied stiffly. An investigative team was being arranged for next week, Kim cut in. The colony wouldn't have lasted another day. Park turned to her, eyes narrowing. Captain, you seem to misunderstand your position here. Your presence was neither requested nor authorized by the Confederation. With respect, Admiral Governor, Tay's distress call was broadcast on open frequencies. It didn't specify who should respond, just that they needed help urgently. One of the Melanar officials nodded vigorously, her skin flushing deep blue with emotion. The humans arrived just as the Voidborn breached our inner defenses. They're soldiers, the ones in the big suits. They evacuated our children from the school even while fighting was still happening around them. 37 of our people owe their lives directly to human intervention, Tay added. and the entire colony would have been lost without them. Park's expression remained impassive. I understand your gratitude, Governor. But there are protocols. Protocols? A new voice joined the conversation as the door opened. A human male entered, his uniform dusty from work outside. Patches of medical insignia marked him as a doctor. Sorry to interrupt, but I just finished treating patients who waited 3 days for help that never came. Don't talk to us about protocols. This is Dr. Jin, our chief medical officer, Kim explained. Dr. Admiral Park of the Austrian Confederation. Admiral. The doctor's nod was barely civil. I have 12 patients still in critical condition, including 4 children. Your medical technology is far superior to ours. If you've brought doctors, I could use the assistance. Park felt trapped. Every moment here made the Confederation, made him look worse. These humans had not only fought when the Confederation had hesitated, they were now rebuilding, healing, helping in every way they could. Of course, he managed. I'll have our medical team report to your facility immediately. Later, walking through the colony, Park watched as humans and Melanars worked side by side. A human soldier was showing Melanar security forces how to operate some kind of shield generator. In another area, Melanar engineers were explaining their agricultural systems to fascinated human scientists. They're adapting to each other quickly, Captain Kim observed, walking beside him. Our peoples are very different, but turns out we have a lot to offer each other. You realize you've created a diplomatic incident, Park replied. The Confederation Council will need to address this intervention. Kim stopped walking. You know what I think, Admiral? I think you're less concerned about our presence here than about what it reveals about the Confederation. Careful, Captain. The truth is you abandoned these people. You calculated that this small colony wasn't worth the resources to defend it. But for us, that's not how it works. On Earth, we have a saying, no one left behind. Park's communicator chimed, saving him from having to respond. The message was brief but momentous. The Confederation Council is convening an emergency session, he said, looking up from the device. They want representations from both the Melanar colony and the human forces. Kim nodded. We'll be there. As Park turned to leave, he paused. Your ships, they're not impressive by our standards. Your technology is generations behind ours. How did you defeat the Voidborn so decisively? For the first time, Kim smiled. Earth is a harsh world, Admiral. We build things to last. We plan for worst-case scenarios. We expect things to go wrong because on our world they usually do. Your ships are beautiful and advanced, but ours are designed to take a beating and keep fighting. And your soldiers? We evolved as prey animals who became apex predators through cooperation and tool use. Our bodies are built to endure pain, to run long distances, to keep fighting when injured. Your people evolved in peaceful environments. Ours, she shrugged. Ours did not. As Park boarded his shuttle to return to his ship, he found himself wondering if the Confederation had made a terrible mistake in dismissing these humans as primitive Deathworlders. Perhaps they had something valuable to teach the galaxy's more civilized species after all. The skies above Helios 9 had finally cleared. 3 weeks of non-stop work had transformed the battle-scarred colony into something resembling its former self. New buildings stood where ruins had been, fields were replanted, and the defensive systems had been rebuilt, improved even with human engineering. Captain Kim walked alongside Governor Tay through the central plaza, where Melanar children played with the handful of human children from the fleet's families. The two species couldn't have looked more different. The Melanars with their 4 eyes and color-changing blue skin, the humans stocky and solid by comparison, yet they had found common ground quickly. Your people have been remarkable, Tay said, his skin rippling with grateful purple hues. The Confederation delegation still doesn't know what to make of you. Kim smiled. Admiral Park looks like he's bitten something sour every time I see him. He represents the old thinking, but others are listening now. Tay gestured to where Confederation scientists worked alongside human engineers, studying the enhanced shield generators. Your approach to defense, multiple redundant systems assuming the worst will happen, it's changing how some of them think. We come from a harsh world, Kim replied simply. We plan for disasters because we've lived through them. Their conversation was interrupted by a young human lieutenant rushing toward them, face flushed with exertion. Captain, long-range sensors have detected multiple hyperspace signatures approaching the system. Kim's relaxed demeanor vanished instantly. Identification? Energy signatures match void-born vessels. A lot of them. Governor Tay's skin paled to a sickly white. They've come back. Kim was already moving, activating her communicator. All Earth, personnel battle stations, this is not a drill. Commander Park, prep all Atlas units. Lieutenant, alert the Confederation diplomatic vessel. The colony transformed within minutes. Civilians, both Melinar and human, moved swiftly to underground shelters. Defense crews raced to their positions. The 5 human ships orbiting the planet began powering up their systems. In the colony's command center, newly rebuilt with both human and Confederation technology, Kim studied the tactical display with Admiral Park and Governor Tay. 23 vessels, the Admiral said, his voice tight, including 3 dreadnoughts. This isn't a raiding party, it's an extermination fleet. Kim nodded grimly. They're coming to send a message. No one humiliates the Voidborn and lives to tell about it. My ship is not a warship, Park said. The Serene Dialogue is a diplomatic vessel with minimal defensive capabilities. Then get your people down to the shelters. My ships will engage them in orbit while our ground forces defend the colony. Park's expression hardened. 5 vessels against 23? That's suicide, Captain. We've sent a distress call to Earth, Kim replied. But the nearest reinforcements are 4 days out. We need to hold until then. 4 days, Governor Tay whispered. Against that fleet? Kim looked between them, her jaw set firmly. We've improved your defenses. We have almost 80 Atlas-equipped soldiers, and my ships won't go down easily. It won't be enough, Park said, not unkindly. Then what do you suggest, Admiral? We run? Leave these people to die? The Admiral was saved from answering by the communications officer. Captain Kim, Admiral Park, the Voidborn fleet has dropped out of hyperspace. They're hailing us. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the insectoid features of a Voidborn commander. This one was larger than the commander they'd faced before, with more elaborate cybernetic enhancements fused to his exoskeleton. I am Supreme Commander, Vex of the Voidborn Dominion. The translation came through clearly. You have taken something that belongs to us. The lives of our warriors demand blood payment. Kim stepped forward. This colony is under the protection of both Earth and the Istrian Confederation. Withdraw your forces immediately. The Voidborn commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Earth? Yes. We have learned much about your kind since our last encounter. Primitive Deathworlders playing at civilization. And the Confederation, we know they abandoned this colony once before. Do you think they'll sacrifice anything to save it now? Admiral Park moved to stand beside Kim. The full diplomatic authority of the Confederation is present. Any attack on this colony will be considered an act of war against all 12 member species. Bold words, Admiral, but I see only one Confederation vessel in the system. Yours. Where is your fleet? The Voidborn commander leaned closer to the screen. You have 1 hour to surrender the colony and withdraw. Anyone remaining will be eliminated. The screen went black. He's right, Park said quietly. We have no fleet here. Kim turned to her crew. Prepare for orbital engagement. Our priority is to keep them away from the surface as long as possible. As the command center erupted into activity, Admiral Park caught Kim's arm. Captain, I need to speak with you privately. In a small adjoining room, Park paced while Kim waited. I've sent a priority distress call to Confederation High Command, he finally said. But the nearest battle group is 3 days away, so we're on our own. Yes, and you're right. We did abandon these people before. He hesitated, then squared his shoulders. I was wrong to dismiss their distress call. Kim studied him. What are you saying, Admiral? I'm saying the serene dialogue will stand with your ships. We have modest shields and 2 defensive arrays. It's not much, but it's something, Kim finished. Thank you. They returned to the command center to find Governor Tay addressing his people through the colony-wide communication system. Remain calm and stay in the shelters. Our defenders will protect us. He looked up as Kim and Park entered. Captain, your soldiers are in position. Commander Park says they're ready. Kim nodded. Good. Admiral, get your most essential personnel down to the surface. Your ship can do more good as part of our orbital defense than trying to evacuate. Agreed. I'll remain aboard with a skeleton crew. As they finalized preparations, the sensors officer called out, multiple launches from the Voidborn fleet, fighter craft and dropships, hundreds of them. The tactical display showed the swarm of vessels approaching, far too many for the colony's defenses to track, let alone destroy. Kim's communicator buzzed. Captain, Commander Park's voice came through. My Atlas teams have visual on the approaching. Dropships, there are too many. If they land, we'll be overwhelmed. She looked at the display, calculating quickly. Focus fire on the dropships. Let the fighters through. Our orbital vessels will handle them. That's a significant risk, Admiral Park warned. If those fighters break through, if those ground forces land, the colony is lost anyway, Kim replied. We need to thin their numbers. She turned to her crew. Launch all ships, defensive formation Theta, we hold the line here. As the human vessels and the lone Confederation ship moved into position, Kim sent one last message to Earth Command, knowing it might be the final communication they would receive. This is Captain Kim of the Earth Expeditionary Force. We are engaged with superior Voidborn forces at Helios 9. Colony defense is our priority. We will hold as long as possible. For those who follow, we were here. We stood. We did not run. The first wave of Voidborn fighters streaked toward them. Energy, weapons already firing. The human ships answered with everything they had, creating a wall of defensive fire. On the bridge of the horizon, Kim watched as her ships took hit after hit. Alerts blared as systems failed and were rerouted. This was what humans did best. Endure, adapt, survive against impossible odds. Shields at 47%, reported her tactical officer. The Confederation vessel is taking heavy damage. Move to support them, Kim ordered. And someone get me Admiral Park. When his face appeared on the screen, smoke filled the background. We've lost our main engines, he reported. Weapons are failing. Withdraw to the planet's shadow. We'll cover you. Park shook his head. No. We stand together, Captain. For the first time, a hint of respect showed in his eyes. It seems there is much the Confederation could learn from Earth after all. Another massive volley struck the human ships. The horizon shuddered violently. Hull breach on Deck 4, someone shouted. Emergency containment failing. Kim gripped her command chair as the ship rocked again. Reroute power from non-essential systems. Keep those weapons firing. Through the viewport, she could see the endless stream of Voidborn ships. They might have hours left, not days. Not nearly enough time for reinforcements to arrive from either Earth or the Confederation. Her communications officer looked up suddenly, eyes wide. Captain, I'm detecting new hyperspace signatures, massive energy readings at the system's edge. Kim felt a flicker of hope. Had their messages gotten through somehow? Had help arrived against all odds? Identification? She demanded. Before the officer could answer, space itself seemed to tear open beyond the Voidborn fleet. And through that tear came something that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. Ships. Dozens of them. Ships unlike any the Voidborn had faced before. Human ships. The command deck of the Voidborn flagship fell silent as the tactical display updated. Space had torn open at the edge of the system, and through that wound in reality poured ships, not the elegant crystalline vessels of the Confederation, but blocky angular craft bristling with weapons and scarred with the marks of previous battles. Supreme Commander Vex's compound eyes narrowed. Identification, he demanded. Human vessels, his sensor officer replied, mandibles clicking nervously. 53 ships including 3 Dreadnought class. Impossible, Vex hissed. Their kind barely has interstellar capability. They cannot field a fleet of this size. Yet the evidence filled his view screen. The human ships moved with practiced precision, forming a battle wall between the Voidborn fleet and Helios 9. Leading them was a massive vessel that dwarfed even the Voidborn command ship. Its hull was marked with symbols in the human language and painted a deep ocean blue. Armor plating covered every surface, making it look like a moving fortress rather than a spaceship. "They're hailing us," the communications officer announced. Main screen flickered and a human face appeared. An older male with weathered features and eyes that had seen too much combat. "This is Admiral Song of the Earth Defense Forces. You are engaging Earth citizens and our allies. Stand down immediately." Vex straightened to his full height. "This system belongs to the Confederation, not your primitive species. Your presence here is as unwelcome as ours. Leave, and we may allow your pathetic advance force to limp home with you." The human's expression didn't change. "You misunderstand the situation. I'm not negotiating. I'm giving you one chance to retreat before we open fire. You dare threaten the Voidborn Dominion? We have conquered systems while your kind was still discovering fire." Admiral Song's calm was unnerving. "We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survive. It's what we do best." He leaned forward slightly. "Last chance." Vex slammed his clawed appendage down. "Destroy them all." The connection cut. Vex turned to his battle commanders. "Full attack pattern. Concentrate fire on their largest vessels." Aboard the human flagship Sentinel, Admiral Song watched as the Voidborn fleet adjusted formation. Behind him, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, the atmosphere tense but controlled. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his executive officer informed him. Song nodded. "Begin Phase 1. Prioritize the vessels targeting Captain Kim's group." "Yes, sir." Deploying gravity mines. Small, innocuous-looking objects launched from the human ships, spreading out in a web between the two fleets. The Voidborn fighters, racing ahead of their capital ships, flew straight into them. The mines didn't explode. Instead, they created localized gravity wells, trapping the smaller craft in place or sending them spinning off course. The effect wasn't permanent, but it bought precious time. Phase 2, Song ordered. Focused beam weapons on their lead vessels. The human fleet's response wasn't the beautiful light show of Confederation weapons, nor the overwhelming barrage of Voidborn artillery. Instead, concentrated beams of energy struck with surgical precision, targeting engines, weapon arrays, and shield generators. On the horizon, Captain Kim watched with a mixture of relief and pride as the Earth fleet engaged. Her small group of battered ships had been moments from defeat, and now, "Captain," her tactical officer called out. "The Sentinel is signaling. Admiral Song requests that we fall back to defensive positions around the colony." Kim nodded, feeling the weight of the past hours in every muscle. "Acknowledged. Get me a secure channel to the Admiral." When Song's face appeared on her screen, she saluted. "Admiral, your timing is impeccable." The older man's stern expression softened slightly. "Your distress call reached us during fleet exercises in the next sector. You've done good work here, Captain. Now let us take it from here. Sir, we have a Confederation diplomatic vessel with us, Admiral Park of the Astrian Confederation." Song's eyebrows rose. "Interesting. Get your ships behind our line and see to your wounded. This won't take long." The battle unfolding above Helios 9 was unlike anything the watching Confederation observers had ever seen. The Voidborn, feared throughout known space for their relentless aggression, found themselves outmatched not by superior technology, but by human tenacity and unconventional tactics. Human ships took damage that would have crippled Confederation vessels, then kept fighting. When their primary systems failed, they switched to backups, then to backups of backups. They fought not with grace, but with grim determination, protecting each other and refusing to retreat. On the colony surface, Commander Park stood with Governor Tay and a group of Confederation officials, watching the battle through the command center's viewing system. I don't understand, one of the Confederation scientists said. Their technology isn't particularly advanced. How are they doing this? Commander Park smiled tiredly. His Atlas suit was scratched and dented from the ground, fighting, hydraulic. Fluid leaking from one joint. Humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. What does that mean? The scientist asked, confused. It means, Admiral Park answered as he entered the room, his uniform disheveled from his own damaged ship. That will matters more than technology. The humans never expected to be superior. They expected to struggle, to hurt, to have to fight. Through pain. They built their ships the same way they built themselves, to endure. Above them, the battle reached its turning point. The human fleet had split the Voidborn formation, isolating groups of ships and overwhelming them one by one. The Voidborn flagship, recognizing defeat, tried to retreat. They're attempting to enter hyperspace, Song's sensor officer reported. The Admiral shook his head. Not today. Activate the interdiction field. A wave of energy pulsed from specialized emitters on the human ships, disrupting the fabric of space-time around the battlefield. The Voidborn ships' hyperspace engines sputtered and failed. All ships converge on their command vessel, Song ordered. Let's end this. The human fleet moved as one, surrounding the massive Voidborn flagship. Their weapons struck in concert, overwhelming its shields, and then systematically disabling its systems. They're powering down weapons, the tactical officer announced. We're being hailed. Supreme Commander Vex appeared on screen again, his exoskeleton now damaged, cybernetic components sparking. This is impossible. You cannot defeat the Voidborn. And yet here we are, Song replied evenly. Surrender your ships or be destroyed. There is no third option. For the first time in recorded history, a Voidborn fleet surrendered. 2 days later, representatives from Earth, the Confederation, and the Melanar colony gathered in the rebuilt central plaza of Helios 9. The human fleet hung in orbit above them, a steel guardian against any future threats. Captain Kim stood with Commander Park and Governor Tay, watching as Admiral Song and Admiral Park signed the preliminary documents that would begin formal relations between Earth and the Astrian Confederation. It's more than just a mutual defense pact, Tay explained, his skin cycling through pleased hues of blue and purple. The Confederation Council is drafting a complete overhaul of response protocols for distress calls. No more evaluating whether a colony is worth saving. Kim nodded. That's good. Every life matters, no matter how small the settlement. Admiral Park approached them after the signing. He looked different somehow, humbled perhaps, but also more resolute. Captain Kim, Commander, your actions here have changed the Confederation's understanding of humanity. We've underestimated your kind. A common mistake, Kim replied with a small smile. People see our technology and think we're primitive. They don't understand that surviving Earth makes us different. Different how? Commander Park answered. Most species evolved to fit perfectly into their environments. Humans evolved to adapt to changing conditions to survive things that should kill us. We expect things to go wrong. And when they do, Kim added, we're ready. As the sun set over Helios 9, human and Melanar children played together in the shadow of a memorial being constructed in the plaza, a simple stone obelisk inscribed with the names of those who had fallen defending the colony. Humans and Melanars listed together, their sacrifices equal. Admiral Park watched them, then turned to Kim. Your Admiral Song told me something interesting. He said that humanity's greatest strength isn't your redundant technology or your physical endurance. He said it's that you never leave anyone behind, not even strangers. Kim nodded. That's who we are. The Confederation has much to learn from Earth, Park admitted. We've been at peace so long, we forgot what it means to stand together against darkness. In orbit, Earth ships patrolled alongside the newly arrived Confederation vessels. Different designs, different philosophies, but united in purpose. The distress signal that had been ignored had led to something unexpected, not just the rescue of a small colony, but perhaps the beginning of a new understanding between the established powers of the galaxy and the upstart Deathworlders who had arrived with their battered ships and their stubborn refusal to let anyone face danger alone.